afternoon. Sorry to get away from the Supreme Court. That was pretty exciting this morning. It was really a very, I believe, dignified proceeding. The first half of it, as you probably know, was about standing, and the second half about the merits of the DOMA and is it constitutional or not. The questions that were asked by the justices, I thought, were very evoked information and responses that were, I think, very constructive. This is very, it's very important. It's as big as our Constitution. It's as big as our country itself, because it's personal as every marriage in our country between same-sex parties. I had the privilege of being there with Karen and Amy, Karen's, I'm going to spell her last name for you, Golinski, and her wife Amy. Karen is a federal employee, and she has a case at the court about whether her wife, Amy, can get benefits as the spouse of a federal employee. She was married in that window in California before Prop 8 took away the opportunity to continue the occasions of weddings in California. On the basis of what I heard, the questions of the justices, the response of the participants, I'm very optimistic that DOMA will be struck down. It doesn't seem to have a rational basis, which is one of the criteria, a rational basis of justification for being. And secondly, probably should say first, the full protection of all people in our country. So equal protection has been a principle that our country was founded on, that our Constitution was written on, and I think on the basis of those two, the debate was going back and forth. Is it about equal protection? Is it about rational basis? I think on either score, the arguments, the debate seemed to favor striking down DOMA, which is very important. The justices made the point on a number of occasions that there are, I think it's probably more than that, but they were saying 1,100, say over 1,000 laws on the books or regulations that relate to marriage that do not give equal protection to people who are married in a same-sex marriage. They use the word homosexual marriage. That's the word that they used. You'll hear the report pretty soon. I guess it comes out, like 2 o'clock? Well, not even an hour. But just being in the room, sitting there with Amy and Karen, as I say, this is as big as our country, as big as our Constitution, as big as our being a beacon of equal protection to the world. It's as personal as every family. And to sit there with them, and also you've probably seen Edie Windsor. That's the case. She's the aggrieved party in the case that is coming before the Supreme Court. Well, I don't know if that's the technical term. Maybe the federal government is the aggrieved party if the court strikes down DOMA and they have to pay her back the taxes, over $300,000 that she had to pay in taxes when her spouse died. Because it was a same-sex marriage, her spouse died, and the Internal Revenue Service did not recognize that this was a married couple. But Edie Windsor is a very courageous, brave woman. It was a joy just to see her sitting there in the court, head held high about her marriage and the fight that she's making for other people as well as for herself. And again, to have Amy and Karen, who are going to be touring the Capitol soon, so you may see that happily married couple doing just that. It was pretty thrilling, I have to say.
You represent a district that's been at the epicenter of the gay rights battle for 4 decades or more.
Yeah.
how does the fight for marriage rights compare with sort of the initial fights of the 70s or the struggle for AIDS funding or military service?
Well, all of those are very important at the time, and they were all about whatever the subject had to be, whether it was AIDS funding and the rest. It was always an issue of discrimination, ending discrimination, because part of our fight on the HIV, AIDS funding and the rest was to end discrimination against people with HIV and AIDS. One of the first issues that I came here and fought for when I came over 25 years ago was the hate crimes legislation. Again, to make sure people knew that it was very wrong to harm on the basis of race, religion, sexual orientation, and then the other part of it. Of course, it's a long fight for us. We had with the President Obama in office, we were able to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell, but we have work to do there in terms of making sure families in the military get what they need. Hopefully the DOMA will be struck down, but we will have work to do. We have ENDA as a priority for us here, ending discrimination in the workplace. I hope that now all of these people who are coming out in favor of marriage equality will be there for us in employment equality too, when we try to bring that legislation up. But what is for me personally gratifying is that in our community we have a large gay community, gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual community, and but we don't know them that way. We know them as being part of our community, whether it's the economy of our community, the social fabric, or whether it's being healthcare providers or leaders in every aspect of a community's life. So over the years, one of the questions that I would get asked, especially when I became in the part of the leadership, when I first became whip, and then after that, one of the first questions, shall we say, less than friendly journalist would ask me on our show or so would be, do you support gay marriage? And of course I would always say I support gay marriage. I don't believe in discrimination of any kind. And that'd be like, we have labeled you. Now that our audience knows that about you, you know, as if it were, and it was a badge of honor for me. So now it's a badge of honor for a lot of people, but for a long time it was something that we knew was inevitable. You know, from our beautiful place in San Francisco, the city of St. Francis, we knew that it was inevitable that all of this would happen. It was inconceivable to others that it would, and it was our job to use whatever influence we could have to shorten the distance between the inevitable and the inconceivable. And I think that's what's happening at the court because of many people's courage, especially those directly, personally affected. So for us in San Francisco, yesterday I had Gavin Newsom as one of our attendees, Mark Leno, you know, people who have been, Senator Mark Leno, people who have been working on this, Jim Hormel, the first openly gay ambassador, all these San Franciscans who have, in their public service, fought the fight. So it's pretty exciting. I feel pretty good about it. Well, what I told you on healthcare, 6-3, so I was offline. But we won. You keep reminding me, right?
Well, I keep reminding you, you got it right. You're off by one.
I got it
I'm
right.
more upset your Giants beat my Reds.
Oh, well, we got opening day next Friday. We can start all over again on that one.
Leadership has been so quiet on talking about DOMA, given that they decided to provide for the defense in court.
Let me just say this about that question, because when you get the soundtrack, is that what we're calling? What do we call it? Audio. The audio on this soundtrack of the Supreme Court, the soundtrack of the Supremes. Oh, you're too young. Anyway, what was really interesting to me was to hear Clement, the spokesperson for DOMA. What a stale role to life, but nonetheless, when he was up there, he was defending the House is standing on this issue because of the BLAG. Now, BLAG, mind you, bipartisan legislative advisory group. A bipartisan legislative advisory group. First of all, it wasn't bipartisan anyway. I mean, we showed up one day, 3-2, the Republicans voted to go forward to use